Hello teachers, my name is Brandon Herder and I wanted to give you an overview of the activity, What Can Your Traits Tell You About Your Genes? This is an activity that I have done many times with my biology classes, and I find that it is a great introduction to the idea of DNA, genes, alleles, dominant, recessive, a lot of these terms that our students struggle with quite a bit. So I always find that the students really enjoy doing this, and I hope that you find it enjoyable too. So I have two documents here. I just want to give you a quick overview. One is the student guide that you will print for your students, or you could use the digital version. The other is the teacher guide to help you set up this activity. So let me give you the quick overview. Basically what you'll be doing is you're going to start by reviewing some common terms, DNA, genes, traits with the students. You can either do that in front of the classroom, you can have them do that individually, just review the topic. Then you're going to have students embark on the lab activity. So basically they'll be using a mirror or they'll have a partner to help them identify some of their own traits. If you look here in the student guide, notice that we give a little information about genes, alleles, recessive, dominant, and then we actually have them collect some data about themselves. So you'll notice we're wanting them to collect data on if they have a widow's peak, if their earlobes are free hanging or attached, cleft chin, or they can roll their tongue. Some pretty simple, completely dominant, in most cases, genetic inheritance patterns. So they'll use that information to record in this table. So then you will collect the data on all the students' traits. I suggest you do it anonymously. And then you can compile that either on the whiteboard or in an Excel spreadsheet. And what you'll want to do is then guide the students through a discussion of how you might turn that into a bar graph, or let the students decide how that data should be represented. After that, you can have a really interesting discussion about different genes, how they affect our traits, and whether dominant is always more common. Hint, remember, it's not always more common. Think polydactyly with people with more than 5 fingers, right? That is a dominant trait, but it's not more common. So that might be interesting to bring up as well. And then after all of that, have the students work independently with some of the follow-up questions. Let me give you a few tips and tricks about how you might want to implement this activity so it goes over well in your classroom. I generally always emphasize when I do this activity that our traits are just our DNA, and that our DNA is what makes us all diverse. And so really, you could use this activity as a way to really celebrate the diversity in your class. I suggest collecting the data anonymously. Sometimes students, even though we talk about diversity, don't feel like, oh, I'm different. They don't want to feel that they're different from everybody else. So that's up to you. You know your class, whether or not you might have a student who would prefer you collect their data anonymously for the group data set. Another thing that I have found over the years is that if you want an extension of this activity, you could then actually introduce the concept of Punnett squares and introduce the idea of how you would notate these genetic traits and these alleles. I've also, if your school allows it, or if you don't have a policy against it, I have also ordered some of the PTC paper, the phenylthiocarbamide paper that they can test. They put a little strip on their tongue. If you want to order that, if your school allows students to sort of test paper or use taste things, then you can order that from any of the supply houses. Phenylthiocarbamide, that PTC, also thiourea works well, and they get a chance to see if they can actually taste things or not. I hope you enjoy the activity and that your students learn a lot about their own traits.